Hey guys, so for day 11 of Halloween designs, I am doing some stained glass nails, and I'm super excited for this set because this is probably my favorite set that I've done out of all of my Halloween sets. But anyhow, I am going in. I didn't paint the bases of any of the nails. I'm starting out by doing all of the outlining first, and I showed the shading gel there because I was originally going to use that to do the outlines, but then I realized that was going to all get covered up, and it was going to be a little difficult in the end whenever I went through to do the outlining, like the final outline. So instead I am using the emo black liner gel from Ball Pit to do all my outlines. I'm just doing them super thin and super light. I'm using a 9mm brush to do all of this, and I have very little product on my brush, and I'm not applying a whole lot of pressure to the brush either when I'm doing the outline, but also it doesn't really matter too much because, like I said, I am going to be going over all the outline again at the very end. But anyhow, like I said, I'm just going through doing all the outlines. For this nail here, I decided to do some bats. Originally for this nail, it was supposed to be like a coffin with the two bats on there, but I couldn't get the coffin to fit right on the nail. So I just decided to not paint the coffin on and just do the bats and the little moon that was on there. I did go on Pinterest and search up like Halloween stained glass, or like yeah, I think I just searched Halloween stained glass. I might have done like spooky stained glass or something like that. Or if I was like looking for a specific one, like for the skull, I would type in like skull stained glass or something like that. And I just found some different like stained glass patterns on Pinterest to kind of follow and use as reference. I have done a stained glass set before, couple years ago, maybe last year, I can't remember. And I remember I did that one a little bit different. Actually, I did that one a whole lot different than this one. I, instead of doing the outline first, I went in and just painted everything with the jelly polishes that I was using. So for that one, I know I did like a spring theme type of stained glass because it was like spring. And I know I did like a bee and some flowers and stuff. So I painted the bee and the flowers all with the jelly polish, and then I went back in afterwards and did the outline. And while you can do it like that, I found it to be a little difficult to do it like that because I don't know, it just was difficult to get it to look like actual stained glass without doing the outlining first and just like painting the nail first with the jelly colors and then going in and doing like that black outline after. It didn't really turn out looking quite like stained glass would. So I definitely recommend, for doing stained glass nails, to do an outline first and then fill in with the colors that you're doing. It just makes it a little bit easier to like get the layout of the patterns and like the design and everything. And even like when you go through to like block off the background like I'm doing here and doing all those different lines and stuff, it just made it easier to not have it already painted first and to just do the outline first. On this nail, what am I doing on this nail? Which one is this? I think this one is the skull one where it has like the flames in the background. Um, it's focusing on my nails that I had on. Whenever my thumb is there, it tends to focus on that and not on what I'm doing. Usually, though, I don't have, like, it's on autofocus right now, and usually I don't have it on the autofocus. I will set the focus to right there in the middle where, like, I'm painting at, so it doesn't keep focusing on my thumb whenever my thumb is on the screen. But whenever I was doing this set and a couple other sets when I did them in August and I had my birthday nails on, I had forgotten to set the focus to focus on the middle instead of being autofocus. But anyhow, yeah, just going through, doing all the outlines and everything, and I didn't cure anything until I finished the last nail. So even as I'm doing each nail, I don't flash cure anything. I just go through and paint it all at once. If you are more comfortable flash curing in between and like once you get something how you want it to look, you can go ahead and flash cure if you'd like. But I have mentioned this before, especially in any of my character art videos, how I don't like to flash cure whenever I'm doing an outline, because if I have a huge problem with like proportions and like making sure proportions are right when it comes to like characters, or like even in this case with the skull, even though it's not like a specific character, it is like a face and it like, you know, it has to be a certain way and whatever. I mean, even with the bats, it like making sure that they were the right size and in the right spots and everything. But like proportions and sizing and everything is a problem of mine that I have been working on as I'm doing all of these like character art, and like even throughout doing all of these Halloween nail designs and everything. I'm really trying to work on like my proportions and making sure that like I'm really like studying my reference picture whenever I'm using a reference picture, and like really trying to figure out like where something goes and how big it needs to be and like how wide it needs to be or whatever. So anyhow, that is why I don't flash cure whenever I'm doing outlines. Because if I were to, like, let's say I did the whole outline there of the skull first and I flash cured that, and then I went in to do the face, and then the skull size ended up not being right, like it ended up being too small and I couldn't fit the face in, or it would be easier if it was too big, but like if it was too small and I needed more space to be able to fit the face on there, then that would be really difficult to fix because I'd have to like buff all that off. Although with this set, because there is no base color down, it would be a lot easier because I could just buff that off and not worry about messing up the base color. But if you do have a base color down and you have to buff on top of that, you have to be extremely careful with that because you can buff that all off. So that's why I wait until the very end once I get the entire outline done to do any curing and make sure that it all looks good all together, so then I can just wipe it off with some alcohol and do a quick fix instead of having to struggle and buff it all off in the end. or if I mess up, not in the end, but if I mess up. I forget what's on this nail. This is the middle nail, I think. Yeah. I cannot remember what I painted on this one. I'm trying to see while watching. Oh, this is the bird on standing on the skull. It's like a raven or a crow or something standing on a skull. Um Honestly, I don't really have much to say. I also don't really know how to like explain what I'm doing other than like I'm just painting on the outlines. I'm following these reference pictures that I found on Pinterest. Um and I know it's a little difficult to see because the black background and then some of the nail stands are black. It was also a little hard for me to see on these ones where the nail stand is black because I'm painting with the black, and the black on black is really hard to see. It was also kind of hard because I'm just painting on a clear nail, and I don't know. For some reason, painting on a clear nail, a design, is a lot harder than painting on a nail that has a base color. I think because there's not a whole lot of contrast, and like I said, being able to see the stand through, and then being able to see my silicone mat through, and then even my own like nails and like my hands and stuff. So yeah, it is a teensy bit hard to see, and then it going out of focus all the time isn't helpful either. But I'm just gonna kind of let this play out. I will come back whenever I need to come back and explain stuff and let you know like what I'm painting and everything. So this nail here is just like the night sky. This one I did make up on my own because I wasn't really feeling any of the other stained glass like templates that I was seeing, or like the different stained glass art that other people have actually made. I just didn't feel like it was going to work very well on a nail, or like translate very well, or that I could make it work and translate well on a nail. So I decided to just do like a night sky type of situation here. So I did the moon and then these little diamonds here, which are supposed to be stars. Because I can't do a hollowed out star. Like I have to do the like, where you do the A and then you cross it and then you cross it again. If that, I don't think that made any sense, but I think you kind of get what I'm talking about. Drawing the star like that. Like, that's how I have to draw a star. I can't do like the hollow stars. So that's why I did the diamonds. I thought it would, you know, once you see it all together, like, it makes sense, and it, like, you get that those are supposed to be stars. So that's what I did there. That was super easy. I also, for some reason, didn't do the background lines at first. I like forgot about it or something. I went back in later. I think after I cured all the nails, I ended up going back in and doing the lines on for the background of that one. I don't know why I didn't paint them on camera here, but yeah, I don't know. I don't think I was thinking about doing that. But anyhow, this nail here is a skeleton hand holding a rose, and it is super hard to see the rose, partially because it keeps going out of focus, but mainly because where it's located at, and it's like right in the middle of that, where the nail stand is there. But honestly, this rose, like, it was super easy to paint on. I saved this for last because I thought it was going to be the most difficult to paint, including like the rose itself. I thought was going to be difficult, and I really thought the skeleton hand was going to be super difficult too. But honestly, it wasn't that bad, at least not for me. I thought it was super easy, and doing this rose was really fun because honestly, when you're doing flowers, you can get away with like lines being a little shaky and not being super even, because flowers are organic material, and like, they get beat up and worn down, with the natural elements and everything. So, and even when they just grow normally, like, there are some, abnormalities, or like, one petal is a little squiggly and the other one looks perfect and pristine. So you can't, like, when doing flowers, it's really not that big of a deal to make sure everything is completely perfect. So that's what made it super easy to do the rose. Like, I didn't really have to try too hard to make it look good, because like I said, it's organic material, and it has like, those organic shapes and stuff with the petals. So it made it really easy and really fun to do. And like I said, the hand, I will admit that the skeleton hand was on the trickier side, but honestly, it wasn't that difficult for me to do. I just kind of broke it down into like little sections. I just looked at my reference picture and broke down the hand into sections, and like focused on one section at a time, like one finger, one piece of the bone, one like knuckle or whatever, and just did it like that. And it made it so much easier to do, rather than trying to like do the whole shape all at once. Breaking it down into little shapes and sections and stuff. So yeah, that's kind of how I did that. Okay, so now for all the colors I'm using, I have the black shading gel from Nails by Dev, Dreaming of Iceland from Madam Glam. I do have a discount code with Madam Glam. That information is down in the description below. I have the sketching gel, Starstruck. Is that Jolly Jelly? Yeah, Jolly Jelly, AstroTurf. I think I used Out of This World and Space Lake as well. Oh, that's Solar Sunset. Yeah, and then Space Lake and Out of This World, all from Ball Pit. So these are all a bunch of different jelly colors for. And the white is a milky white, so it's not really a jelly color, but I don't think you can get a jelly white. I think it's just always going to be kind of milky because of the pigment of the white. Otherwise, you would just end up with clear. So I just went through and filled everything in just like I would with a coloring book. I did go through, and as you can see here, I'm starting with the yellow, and I'm doing all of the parts that I wanted yellow on each nail first, and then I flash cure that before moving on to the next color. Do the same thing, fill in everything that is going to be that color on each of the nails, flash cure that, so on and so forth. I do that so I'm not constantly switching between the different colors and having to clean off my brush so much. It just makes it a little bit easier, and I feel like it takes a less time because I'm not sitting on one nail and doing all the, like, painting it all in, and then having to clean my brush 100 times for that one, and then going on to the next nail and then doing the same thing over and over again across all 5 nails. I just feel like this makes it a little quicker because I can go through, do all the yellow, clean my brush, go through, do all the green, clean my brush, and for each color do that until I am completely done. Also, I only did one coat of all of these colors except for the black. I did have to go in and do 2 colors of that, and when you see when I do it, right here actually on the bat, you can see it's really light and it's more of a grayish color. So that is why I had to do a second coat of it, because it just wasn't popping as much as I wanted it to. It was just a little dark compared to the other colors. So to deepen it a little bit, I did do a second coat of that. Also, when I'm filling in all of these, I'm not worried about going over the outlines. So, like, on the bat, I'll, go over the outline there between the body and the wings, or the body and the ears. Because it doesn't matter, because the outline in the end is going to cover it up anyhow. Plus, also, you can't even really tell with the outline that I have down that it's being covered, because the outline is a solid black color, whereas I'm using jelly colors to go over it, so it doesn't really make a difference. But you do want to make sure that you're not getting the color in a spot where it's not supposed to be. Otherwise, you'll end up with mixed colors, and you're gonna have something be black when it's supposed to be orange or something like that. But when it's like I said, the bat, where it's like multiple sections on the bat but they're all the same color, then I just filled it all in all at once, and it didn't really matter. So just going through, doing all of my coloring, and then once I get all of the colors done, I do cure them all for a full 60 seconds. So in between each color I do flash cure, but at the very end, once I get them all finished, I do a full 60-second cure just to make sure everything is completely cured. I will say I did do, so for the black here, I did a 60-second cure for it, and then I did the second layer because I knew I was going to do a second layer on top of it. I did want to make sure that first layer was completely cure before adding that second layer on. Although I do feel like doing that second layer, I'd be able to cure both layers at the same time easily, even if I did only flash cure that bottom layer, but that's not a chance I want to take. So I did just do the full 60-second cure on that first layer, and then did the second layer, and that's when I only did a flash cure on that, because then I moved on to the next color. This rose here is also another one where the entire rose is red, so I just filled in that entire section. It didn't matter that I was going over the outline or anything, because I was going to go over it anyhow in the end. So yeah, just finishing that up. And also, I don't think I mentioned it, but after I did the outline, I did do a full 60-second cure on that as well. So now that all of the nails are completely painted, I'm just going back in with the Emo Black Liner Gel and outlining everything again, just to make that outline pop a little more and make it look more like stained glass. I did for a little bit contemplate doing chrome for this, like having the chrome outline, kind of like how real stained glass will have like that silver outline, or like even sometimes they'll do gold outline or whatever. I thought about doing that, but I had been working on this for so long. I want to say this set took me like 2.5, 3 hours to do. Just because there was like all these different little sections and I had to fill in each one, and then I had to do so much curing and everything. So it did take a while. And then the designs themselves, like that rose honestly took a while to do. The crow or the raven, I think it's a raven, on the skeleton took a while. On the skull. The skull with the fire took a while too. I'm not that great at drawing and painting skulls, but anyhow, yeah, this set took a long time, and by the time I got to the outlining, I was like, I don't feel like messing with chrome right now. Like, I just want to be done. So just taking the liner gel, outlining everything, and I didn't wipe anything off with alcohol because liner gel doesn't spread. I know I always say, like, whenever you're painting over regular polish, to wipe it off to remove the sticky layer so you don't get the spreading of your lines, but liner gel, that doesn't apply for liner gel. It doesn't spread like that. It's just like if you're painting over it with regular gel polish. So after I get all of the outlining done on all of the nails, I do go ahead and cure for a full 60 seconds. And now for my favorite part of every nail set is top coat. And I'm using my LGN shiny top coat for this and just applying this to all of the nails. And this really brings everything all together. You can see before I top coat, they do look a little lumpy and a little like disconnected almost. And then once the top coat goes on, it smooths everything out and it like blends everything all together. And just top coating after doing any kind of nail art is honestly my favorite thing ever. Like, I love that top coat reveal because it just like brings everything all together no matter what you do, but especially when you do a set like this where there's lots of details and it's super intricate and you spent so long doing it. It's just so satisfying. But anyhow, after I got that on, I did go ahead and cure for 60 seconds. Also, I didn't top coat the underneath of the nails, but if I were to be doing this, like stained glass nails like this on myself, I would. Mainly just because I top coat underneath for all of my sets, but also because these are jelly and it does help to make them look a little more clear and to keep them nice and clean and clear while they're being on. Also, if I were to be putting these on myself, or like if I were to sell press-ons and sell like a stained glass set like this, I would top coat the underside. Again, it just helps it make a little more clear and helps to keep it clean and to keep like dirt and debris and stuff away, and makes it easier when you do scrub underneath your nails whenever you wash them, that to like just kind of get stuff off a little bit easier. But I'm super happy with this set. It came out so good and it is so pretty. I just love how this looks. I definitely feel like this is a redemption from my other stained glass set that I did. But also I can't really compare it because that one was spring and this one is Halloween. But also I kind of can because it's like the same thing but a little different. And this one was definitely done a lot better than the other one. But yeah, I'm so happy with it and they just look so pretty. I did take some finishing shots in the dark with flash because that's how I've been doing all of my Halloween sets, is just in the dark because I'm like, it's Halloween, gotta have those spooky vibes and everything. But that honestly wasn't doing any justice for this set, so I did have to take some outside so you can really get that like stained glass effect. But even in the dark here, they were still looking so pretty. Like, I just love this set so much. Like I said, I think this is my favorite Halloween set that I have done this year. I'm pretty sure this is my favorite one. Actually, it might be my second favorite. I don't know. It's kind of a tie between this one and another one that I did, but this is definitely one of my absolute favorite Halloween sets that I've ever done, but also that I did this year. And look at this outside. Oh my gosh, the sun shining through and like being able to actually see through them how you would stained glass. Oh, it looks so good. I'm like so happy with this set. They just turned out so well. I'm super happy with them. I really don't know what else to say other than they came out so well and I'm super happy with them. But that is it for this video. Thank you so much for watching and I hope you enjoyed it.